Why has Mark Zuckerberg shifted from being a reserved, robotic, and sometimes awkward tech CEO who used to wear only gray shirts and a pair of jeans, to this cool, friendly, stylish alpha male with a wide range of hobbies and new goals on display? That is the question I've had on my mind for the past few years. But that was until I found this.
The share structure that underpins Facebook an amendment was made to allow Mark to step away from the company for 2 years, but remain CEO if he wanted to pursue public service.
So you're saying Mark Zuckerberg wanted to run for president?
This is Sarah Wynne Williams, one of the top executives at Facebook for 7 years as Director of Global Public Policy, until she was fired in 2017. She is the latest and highest-ranking ex-employee to come forward and expose the inner workings of the multi-trillion-dollar company. And this expose gives us insight into why Mark Zuckerberg might be acting the way he is.
So Mark got more and more interested. As he engaged more, he wanted more information. He was getting more curious about electoral systems and presidential terms and how, what did this power mean? And that happened at the same time as these presidents and prime ministers were using the product to get elected. So the first time a president said, look, I'm a Facebook president, it was an astounding moment. But over time, more and more presidents and prime ministers would say directly to us, I'm only here because of Facebook.
There is no doubt that social media has a huge influence on the decisions people make throughout their lives, and politics is no exception. If a social media platform has the power to influence how you dress and what you eat, trust me, it can use that same power to influence who you vote for during any election. Mark Zuckerberg holds one of the most advanced tools that can be used to push ideologies onto the general population.
I was totally baffled. I couldn't understand how someone can invent the greatest political tool of our time and not know they've done it.
Whether or not it's true that he didn't know the political power his platform held, a British political firm, Cambridge Analytica, proved just that. Cambridge Analytica used Facebook to promote political propaganda in countries where its clients wanted to gain a political advantage. And if you're wondering how Cambridge Analytica operated, first listen to this part where their top executives were secretly recorded bragging about how they sabotaged the elections in Kenya.
The Kenyatta campaign, which we ran in 2013 and 2017 for Kenyatta.
And what you have done in the Kenya?
We have rebranded the entire party twice, written their manifesto, done 2 rounds of 50,000 surveys.
Huge amounts of research, analysis, messaging.
Then we'd write all the speeches and we'd stage the whole thing. So just about every element of his campaign.
Okay.
Cambridge Analytica was also accused of being involved in Trump's 2016 victory, with 2 of its high-ranking members being closely linked to Trump's campaign team. The company was later caught up in a Facebook user data scandal that eventually led to its downfall. But if Cambridge Analytica was able to manipulate elections with the limited access they had to user data, now imagine Meta, with the billions and billions of data, the influence it can have on you politically. User data is the biggest asset that Facebook holds. It is your data that they sell to advertisers, generating billions and billions of dollars in revenue for them. But with all this power, it's hard to believe that it can't be used for personal gain. And if a Meta insider came and told me that Mark is using statistical data to fuel his transformation, I wouldn't be surprised, because these posts are heavily curated. On the 4th of July 2021, Mark Zuckerberg posted a story to his socials where he was riding a hydrofoil while holding an American flag. That wasn't particularly surprising, as he already had some older posts showcasing his new hobby of surfing. But it turns out that this post was just a small part of a much bigger plan that was yet to unfold. The New York Times reported on Meta's internal plan called Project Amplify, where they aim to push more positive stories, even suggesting that Zuckerberg share more upbeat content as a way of rebranding himself. In the same report, the New York Times mistakenly referred to Mark's hydrofoil as an electric surfboard. Leaked conversations between Meta's executives revealed just how far Mark was willing to go to respond to the New York Times article for incorrectly labeling his hydrofoil, despite another employee already commenting on the mistake. At that time, Facebook was being accused of not doing enough to ensure safety for teenagers and children on the platform. Some executives were baffled by the extent of Mark's concern about surfboards amid the serious allegations the company was facing. The transformation aligned with Project Amplify, which aimed to rehabilitate his image by showcasing light-hearted moments from his life. Mark began posting more about his personal life and hobbies, such as his involvement in MMA and jiu-jitsu. He posted more family photos, shared insights into his cattle farm, and talked about his love of hunting. His dress code evolved from his casual gray shirt and jeans to oversized t-shirts with chains and curly hair, leaning more into pop culture. He started appearing on podcasts, cracking more jokes while making announcements, and, most touchingly, turned around during a Senate hearing to apologize to the parents whose kids had been harmed by his platforms. All of this is intended to shift his public perception from a controversial, robotic tech CEO who steals your data to a more relatable and likable person, just like the cool kid at school that everyone wants to hang out with. And surprisingly, it's actually kind of working. But the bigger question is, why would he want you to perceive him like that? Because it's evident there's something deeper going on. You see, Donald Trump's acceptance into pop culture didn't just happen overnight. It took him years of hanging around celebrities, making appearances on WWE, and being present at multiple pop culture events. It just seems like this is the path Mark is now taking as well. This transformation helps him reshape both his public image and that of his company, attracting more investors while also fostering a friendlier and safer connection between the company and its customers. But there's something billionaires desire more than just money.
Offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
And why power? Because power not only brings more money, but also makes them untouchable. Before Trump's victory, Tesla was under constant scrutiny over safety concerns and regulations related to its autopilot and full self-driving systems. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration had implemented a standing general order in 2021 requiring automakers to report any crashes involving advanced driver assistance systems engaged within 30 seconds of an incident. This regulation aimed to collect data to assess the safety of emerging vehicle technologies. According to federal data, Tesla was responsible for 40 out of the 45 fatal crashes recorded by October 2024, leading to 3 major investigations. Tesla opposed this system, arguing that the data collected was misleading. The company's executives wanted the car crash reporting requirements to be eliminated. In 2024, Elon Musk took a risky bet, investing more than $250 million into Trump's campaign. Following Donald Trump's victory, reports indicated that his transition team was considering eliminating the car crash reporting requirements, something Elon and Tesla had been strongly against. Later, in April 2025, the crash reporting rule was modified, exempting certain Level 2 crashes, which had significantly increased Tesla's number of reported crashes. This change helped improve Tesla's public image. Along the same lines, shortly after Trump's re-election, Tesla saw a surge in its stock prices, with Elon becoming the richest person in human history. Now, you may wonder, what happened to the investigations that Tesla was facing before Trump's victory? Well, as of now, they seem to be somewhat stagnant, especially since Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency fired some car experts at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And that is how power plays for the rich. Mark Zuckerberg, on the other hand, is also doing whatever it takes to get as close as possible to Trump, although some say he still has a long way to go because of what happened at the end of Trump's first presidential term. But still, Mark is willing to do whatever it takes. Zuckerberg, who had funded Democrats in the past, started speaking positively about Trump, most notably after the shooting incident.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
After Trump's victory, Zuckerberg donated $1 million to his inaugural fund, dined at the Mar-a-Lago estate, and reportedly bought a house in Washington, D.C. He even brought in Trump's friend, Dana White, to Meta's board of directors and later announced a sponsorship deal with the UFC. But what exactly does he want from Trump? Well, it turns out there's a case that Mark Zuckerberg has been trying to keep from going to trial. He hoped that Trump would intervene to help get the case dismissed, but it ultimately went to court. He is currently facing an antitrust lawsuit from the Federal Trade Commission, which seeks to break up the company's holdings. The FTC alleges that purchasing Instagram and WhatsApp was an attempt to eliminate future competitors, and now they want to pressure the billionaire to sell off some of those companies to combat his monopoly over the industry. If Zuckerberg himself were president, he likely wouldn't face much trouble dismissing or down-regulating such situations. But now he has to rely on Donald Trump, who is already preoccupied with another oligarch pushing his own agenda. Insiders and reporters predict that Mark Zuckerberg's pursuit of a political career in the future is inevitable. If he was willing to let the Chinese Communist Party use his tools, what makes you think he wouldn't use them against you for his own personal reasons?
What concessions was Zuckerberg willing to make in order to operate and get into China?
They were prepared to work hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party to develop up a censorship tool that would allow a chief editor to review and remove content on the platform.
So are you saying that Zuckerberg was willing to allow a communist influence behind the scenes of Facebook if it meant he could have access to the hundreds of millions of users?
He was willing to meet the specifications of the Chinese Communist Party, including their very specific content moderation demands.
At the moment, it's uncertain what Mark's next move will be, as he hasn't launched any full-blown operation in response to the speculation surrounding his recent PR stunt. But considering the current situation, who knows whether he is reshaping his image to move away from controversies and create a more favorable environment for new investors, preparing himself for future political positions, or simply trying to live a normal, simple life after years of hard work. And this is what he thinks you're thinking about him, even though it is highly curated. But in case his plan fails, it seems he has a backup. He might just retreat to his bunker and continue harvesting your data, now on beast mode, to train his AI models faster and more effectively, only emerging to enjoy the most natural environment on his multi-acre compound while you get lost in the dystopian world he's creating for you. Mark Zuckerberg is an ambitious man who is willing to sweat blood to get what he wants, so don't get excited or fooled by his transformation.
He's a whole new man, and his company they're a whole new company. Do you buy this latest reinvention of Mark Zuckerberg?
Is that this is a man who wears many different costumes. We don't know what the next costume is going to be, but it'll be something different. It's whatever gets him closest to power.
And I was human. I am human still. But I was just referring to myself in the past. Not that I was not human.
Mark, are the allegations true that you are secretly a lizard? I'm gonna have to go with no on that. I am not a lizard.
Can you circle all the traffic lights, please? You actually did it. That is very impressive performance. Okay.